All right, hello everybody. Welcome to today's webinar on sleep. Before we do get started, as usual, just a couple of items to take care of. We will hopefully have time for questions at the end of the presentation, and you can type those into the question box in the lower portion of your control panel. We will be posting a recording of the webinar online, but if you would like a copy of the presentation in PDF format, or if we don't have time for questions today, please email our support inbox, which will be shown at the end as well. All right, so this is what we will be covering today. We'll start with the science of sleep, how it affects our bodies and minds, and why you should have it at the top of your health priority list for this year. Then we'll get to the good stuff, the specific tips on how to create an optimal environment for quality sleep. Okay, so we all know why we need sleep, right? Or we all know that we do need sleep, not maybe why. The recommendation is 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night for an adult. But what exactly does it do for us? A ton, actually. I'm not going to be able to cover all of the benefits, but there are a few specific reasons that I'll share today why you should get those Z's. First, a few physical things it does for our body. The brain. When we sleep, cerebral spinal fluid is pumped more quickly throughout the brain. So what this does is it takes away waste products that the brain cells make. Pretty cool stuff. The muscles. When you sleep, the body releases growth hormones that help rebuild muscles and joints. So if you are big into lifting weights, but you're not getting adequate sleep, for example, you probably aren't going to see those results you could be seeing otherwise. And even just for normal health, when we're talking joints and muscles, it's so important to keep that mass up as much as we can, just for daily living. The heart. Your heart works all day long. And of course, it doesn't stop beating when you're asleep, but it does get a break during the non-REM or rapid eye movement sleep. So when you're not dreaming, your heart rate and blood pressure reduce to give that heart a rest. So again, it's just as important with all of those things, body, there's so many things that it does while we're sleeping. And this is just scratching the surface. I'm not getting into any more details than this. And there's a lot more detail. Next are some benefits of your mental health during sleep. Most of us know just by experience that when we get poor sleep, we don't retain information as well, and we can't seem to think as clearly, right? Studies suggest that there are a couple primary ways that sleep helps learning and memory. First, like we just said, when you're sleep deprived, you just can't focus well enough to be efficient at learning and getting that stuff absorbed. Secondly, sleep actually has a role in consolidation of memory, or making sure what you just learned or experienced sticks with you, which is what we want, right? We aren't exactly sure how learning and memory happen, but is usually agreed that there are three functions. An article on the Harvard website describes them. The first is acquisition, which is just the introduction of the new information to the brain, so reading something, seeing something. Consolidation is how the memory becomes stable, or getting it all cemented in there to the brain for long term. Recall is the ability to go back and access that information. Now, acquisition and recall occur only when we're awake, but research suggests that consolidation, that second step, takes place during sleep when our brain is strengthening neural connections to form our memories. And so without consolidation, we don't have recall, so it doesn't matter what we acquire because we're not going to be able to recall it. So pretty important, right? So when it comes to mental performance, it's pretty easy to see that it's going to suffer if we don't get enough sleep. Now, if we can't access our memories, focus, receive information well, or remember how to perform tasks as well, that unfortunately can lead to accidents on the job or at home. Some examples of when sleep deprivation was found to be a significant factor in a major accident in our history include the nuclear incidents at 3 Mile Island and Chernobyl, the grounding of the Exxon Valdez oil tanker, and even the explosion of the Space Shuttle Challenger. Hospitals and trucking are other areas that are getting some attention due to errors when employees are lacking sleep. Now, some of those issues have to be solved from the top down with changes in rules and laws and hours worked and that type of stuff. But I just really wanted to give you a good example of how important sleep is. And it's not only you that it could be impacting, so how important it is for you to focus for other people as well. We know that not getting enough sleep for a night leads to fatigue, bad mood, inability to focus, but how does continuously not getting good sleep affect us? Let's talk about sleep and disease for a second. We'll start with obesity. People that sleep less than 6 hours per night are more likely to have a higher weight. Sleep is now right up there with exercise and eating when it comes to risk factors. Now, why is that? When we sleep, our bodies secrete hormones to help us control our appetite, to help energy metabolism, and to process glucose. When we don't sleep enough, those hormones are going to get messed up. Two of the main hormones when it comes to appetite are leptin and ghrelin. Leptin alerts the brain that it has enough food, so when you're full, and ghrelin stimulates your appetite, alerting our brain when we are hungry. When we don't get enough sleep, we release less leptin and more ghrelin. That's the exact opposite of what we want, especially if we're trying to lose weight. And when ghrelin comes in abundance, it's going to make us crave that quick energy, like sugar was a prime example. Again, the opposite of what we want. We also release more cortisol when we don't get enough sleep, which is known as the stress hormone. Most of you are probably familiar with that, but that causes an increase in our blood sugar. And then along those same lines, when we don't get enough sleep, our body releases more insulin after meals to deal with the blood sugar, but it releases too much. Insulin promotes fat storage, which causes weight gain and causes concerns for type 2 diabetes, which is our next bullet point. The processing of glucose can be impaired with lack of sleep, like I already said, which is, again, why people are getting diabetes, or it contributes to it. Sleep apnea, where you stop breathing during sleep, can also impair glucose processing, leading to a similar outcome. So if you feel like you may have some other condition that's kind of outside of your control, like sleep apnea, be sure to talk to your doctor about the options you have available to you. And speaking of sleep apnea specifically, it's becoming more and more connected with heart disease. Hypertension or elevated blood pressure is more common in those that have sleep apnea or simply don't get quality sleep. This can lead to strokes, cardiovascular disease, that type of thing. And one thing to note, actually, I mentioned that the recommendation was 7 to 9 hours. Getting over 9 hours of sleep is connected with some health issues as well. So there's a reason that it's 7 to 9. More isn't necessarily better. That's a little less understood, but we do know that getting too much can hurt us. And that's consistently getting too much, not just 1 or 2 nights. Now, we talked about the mental effects of sleep when it comes to our daily functions, but chronic lack of sleep can also lead to long-term mood disorders. It's been correlated with depression, anxiety, and other mental distress. I'm not going to go into this, but again, just know that there's so many factors with lack of sleep with mental health, and again, physical health that I didn't mention today. Just know that it's really, really important. That's my point here. And if you have concerns with your mental health at all, be sure you're chatting with your doctor about quality of sleep along with the other things that you might be talking to them about. Again, there's plenty of other benefits and health concerns and things like that for when it comes to sleep, but for the sake of time, let's get on to some things that you can do to help your own sleep quality so you don't even have to worry about those things, shall we? All right. So what can you start doing now to help get more and better quality sleep? Sleep hygiene is the term we use to talk about the habits and practices that are conducive to sleeping well on a regular basis. So first, stay on a schedule. I'm sure most of you have heard this tip, and I know it's not always possible to do the exact same schedule every single night, but do the best that you can to create a similar experience for your body every night. When you go to bed and get up at the same time, you teach your body to maximize your energy when you're awake and to relax better during times of rest because it knows when those times are coming. It's going to be ready for it and ready. You're going to get into those relaxed or energetic times easier because your body's going to be expecting it. You've probably heard people, or maybe you might be one of those people, that say they don't even need an alarm clock. Their body just gets up at the same time and starts to feel tired around the same time every day. These people have created that routine with that internal clock in their bodies. It means that their bodies, again, are better able to utilize their sleep time, and they usually feel better throughout the day with regard to energy, things like that. Who doesn't want that, right? So that brings me to my next point, which is similar. Create a routine. It's not just about consistency, it's about creating a good routine. This goes along with staying on that schedule, but it's important to create a routine that calms your mind and body down so it's ready for bed if your routine does, or if your schedule does change. So you can still do the same routine even though it might be an hour or two later or whatever it may be. We'll talk about some of these things again in a few minutes, but a few options for a quality routine include unplugging from electronics, listening to music, taking a warm bath, deep breathing, meditation. Again, I'm going to revisit some of these things in a few minutes here, but you can start thinking of some of those things you can do in the hour or so before bed. And if you're thinking, I don't have that much time before bed to do relaxing things, start with as much time as you have. If it's 5 minutes, that's fine, but make it a goal to try to increase that time as much as you can. And again, I know it's not always going to be possible, but we just have to work with what we've got and make those small goals. Now, how do you create that schedule and know what routine works best for you? Well, you create a sleep journal. So all you need to do is jot down what you've tried with different routines and times to go to bed, things like that, and how it affects your sleep, how you feel the next day, good and bad. Make sure you try things for at least a week or two, give them a chance to work, write down the positives and negatives, and go from there. Trial and error, that's what much of our health is, right? Track as much as you can, the more the better. So track things like what you ate, what activities you were doing, what time you were doing those things before bed, how your mood is that day, how much stress you had that day. All of those details affect your sleep. So the more you know about what specifically affects you, the more you can try to remedy as many as you can. All right, let's talk about our environment. According to a survey by Women's Health, 77% of the times we wake up are due to our surroundings, so external factors. That's a huge percentage. The good thing about that is that a lot of those environmental factors can be changed or at least tweaked a little bit. We know some things can't, like kids or pets or traffic outside and that type of thing. But if you can eliminate or, again, make a little better ability to deal with them, the quality of your sleep will go up, I promise you. Let's start with your bed. Having a good mattress is a massive plus when it comes to your sleep quality. If you're waking up stiff or if when your partner moves in bed, you find yourself bouncing around and waking you up, might be time for a new mattress. If it's in your budget, hit a local store and have a conversation with them to see what type of mattress fits your sleep style. Some people sleep on their side, back, stomach. There's actually different recommendations for that. Try to find a company that actually trains its employees and uses some science with that. But if you can't find that, do your own research online as far as hardness, that type of thing. Sleep.org, similar websites can have some tips on softness, materials, and other things that you should be on the lookout for when it comes to choosing a mattress, again, depending on your style. For example, certain materials can help keep you cooler if you're a sweater at night, and since it is better to sleep in a cooler environment anyways. If an entire mattress isn't realistic for you right now, so if it's not in your budget, think about a mattress pad or pillow top. These can be put on top of your existing mattress, and you can add that extra support or softness that you may need. Pillows are equally important. If you have a worn out flat pillow, your head doesn't get that proper support, it's not keeping it in line with your neck, and you're going to be tossing and turning, and you're going to get sore in the morning. Similar to a mattress, the type of pillow you need depends on what position you sleep. So again, do some research, talk to someone knowledgeable at your local mattress store. A quick example of something to think about is getting a down pillow with the feathers if you like a cooler pillow, because it helps circulate the air between the feathers, keeping the pillow cooler. So again, just a quick example there. Sheets are the next thing to think about. Quality sets are important, but what you think may be the best may not be. Most of us think a higher thread count is better, right? Fancy 1,000 thread counts, something like that. Not necessarily. You actually don't want a thread count more than 400 because higher thread counts trap body heat. And so especially in the summer, because it's harder for the air to go through the weave because it's tighter, right? Because there's more thread there. That's what a thread count is. Look for counts between 200 and 400. If you do get sweatier at night, look for cotton, bamboo, or linen, as they will wick away perspiration. Washing habits can affect your sheets and then your sleep quality as well. The sleep.org recommends washing sheets in warm water once per week. Now, laundry softener can actually wear out your sheet materials faster, so skip that if you can. And I know it seems like you want them softer, but you might not necessarily want to go that route, because then you'll find yourself buying more sheets more often. One kind of side note on beds is that according to some surveys, simply just making your bed during the day can help you sleep better. Now, this is because having a cleaner room can sometimes lead to less stress. When we have less clutter, it seems like we're a little less stressed. So that's kind of where that came from, but I just wanted to add that in there. Just, making your bed and keeping your room might help you get more sleep. It's worth a try, right? So let's get out of the bed and talk about your bedroom. Temperature. In general, it's suggested that the temperature of your bedroom should be between 60 and about 67 degrees Fahrenheit. When you're in your bed getting ready to sleep, your body starts to decrease your temperature, and having a cooler room to start with can help this process go more quickly. An interesting note about your body temperature and sleeping is that actually warming up your feet can help the cooling process in general. It seems backwards, but having a hot water bottle or something in your feet or wearing socks can actually help dilate your blood vessels faster and to help push that internal thermostat to a more ideal setting. So when your mom or grandma used to say that they had a warm water bottle at the end of their bed, it wasn't just because they didn't have heat or something like that. It was because it certainly helped as well. It's not just an old wives' tale. Another couple life hacks to cool down your body if your room is too warm, if you're not able to adjust that temperature as much as you would want to, freeze your pillowcase. You put it in a plastic bag and take it out 30 minutes before bedtime for a cool place to put your head. And if you aren't afraid of bedhead in the morning, you can also take a shower before bed in order to have wet hair for that sleep, because again, that moisture is going to help keep things cool. So that's, again, if it's too warm, if you can keep your bedroom between that 60 and 67, you're probably going to be good to go without any of those extra factors. All right, noise is next on the list. Your brain continues to register sounds even when you're sleeping. So it makes sense that noise affects our sleep. It can cause you to completely wake up, or even if you don't know it, it can cause you to shift between different stages of sleep. So that deeper sleep might get disturbed by some noise. It actually can even cause a quick change in your heart rate or blood pressure, which isn't good if you already have concerns about that. And one thing for those new parents out there, it should be comforting to know that whether or not a sound bothers your sleep depends sometimes on that sound's personal meaning. So when you have a new baby in the house and you feel like you hear every single move they make, you're probably right, which is biology. It's pretty cool. There are also people who are actually quote unquote sound sleepers. They actually have different brain activity that help make them more resistant to noise disruption. If you are one of those people, lucky you. I'm very jealous. For the rest of us, I'm going to give you some tips to help with that outside noise. Now, if you don't need to be on alert for baby noises, things like that, go ahead and try earplugs or white noise in your bedroom. If you do have a small child, put the white noise machine in their room, and then if you have a monitor, you could still hear that white noise through their monitor to help you a bit, but then you can still hear if the baby wakes up, because obviously it's going to be right next to them. You can purchase machines that actually make white noise, or you can use a fan, or you can use a radio on a static station. The reason white noise works for people is because it reduces the difference between the background noise and what they call a peak noise. So like a car door slamming or a dog barking or a loud truck going by. It's not going to register in your brain as much because there's not as big of a difference between the noise you're already hearing with the white noise. Now, shift workers, those of you who may work evenings or if you know someone that does, this is definitely something that you should look at because there's obviously many more noises going on during the day than at night. So if you can, I guess, muffle some of those sounds, you're gonna get better quality sleep. So something to think about if you have to sleep during the day. Let's move on to smell. This is a sense that people don't necessarily think about or associate with sleep, but it can make a difference just like any of the other aspects of our room. There's some evidence out there that certain smells can help facilitate better sleep. A lot of you have probably heard that lavender is one of those smells that has been shown to decrease heart rate and blood pressure, which is pretty helpful for sleep, right? There have been even positive effects in some studies with infant sleep after a bath with some lavender salts and scents. So might be worth a try out there, mom and dad, if your baby's not sleeping great. Smells can influence our dreams as well. So if you have certain scents that are pleasant to you, or if you prefer no scent at all, be sure your laundry detergents and other things around you and your bed go along with those preferences so you have pleasant dreams. Just washing your sheets, period, will help keep a fresher scent in your room too. So, and that also helps allergies. And allergies aren't necessarily in the smell category, but since we get a stuffy nose and stuff from them, let's talk about it quickly here. Along with washing your sheets and pillowcases, be sure you have a cover on your mattress and box springs and pillows that keep dust mites from getting in there. You can search that online. You can find pillows and stuff like that that are specifically for that. And then using air purifiers and vacuuming should be on that checklist as well. Sometimes those salt lamps are one of those things that can help with the air purification in a natural way too. Let's move on to light. There are a couple different lights that can affect our quality of sleep. Regular light, like from your hallway or outside, can cause wake-ups. You should strive to keep your room as dark as you possibly can. Blackout curtains are one way you can prevent outside street lights and lights from traffic or sunlight from waking you up. If you're a shift worker, again, this tip can save your sleep life. Between that and the white noise, you could really be doing yourself a huge favor. And invest in the good quality blackout curtains too, or test them in the store to see if you can see the light through them when you hold them in front of your face. It's usually not best to skimp on these because if you get curtains that don't filter out all the light, it's defeating the purpose of buying them in the first place. Try not to have night lights or lights from hallways coming into your room either. If you have kids that want the night lights, either close your door or use, and if your door is closed, you can use a draft stopper or a towel or blanket in front of your door to get that light out of there. If closing your door is not a possibility, either with kids or pets or anything like that, at the very least, you can situate your bed so that you don't face that way, if you can, if it's possible. Or you can use a sleep mask to cover your eyes. They are not just for the rich and famous, you know. The other kind of light you need to be aware of leads us into the last thing that I have on here, technology. Blue light is a light that comes from our devices like TVs, computers, tablets, phones. A study from Harvard University found that viewing handheld technology in the hour before bedtime can reduce the production of melatonin, which is the hormone that helps us get to sleep, by 90 minutes. 90 minutes. Think about that. Think about how much difference 90 minutes of sleep can make on your energy levels and focus and stuff the next day. That is a big deal. So the dream goal would be to not have any tech in front of you the hour before bedtime. If you can do this, you are awesome. You know, unfortunately, I know for a lot of us, this may not be realistic, or you may just not want to make it realistic. So if you can't get to that point, let's talk about some other things that you can do to help. One option is to get a pair of blue light blocking glasses. Those reduce the effects that the light from your devices have on your hormones because it enters through your eyes. We have coaches that use these. They really do work. Do a search online. Again, blue light reducing or blocking glasses is what you want to look for. And actually, most phones have a, quote, night shift or night mode option that can neutralize the blue light as well. So check your settings, look on your user manual, call your phone company to see if they have that option on there. And if you can, put your phone in airplane mode at night so you don't get notifications, because again, it goes back to the sound and things like that. And you can actually purchase sleeves that you can put your phone in that will block the notification light and will blunt any buzz notification. If you're like me and you use your phone as an alarm, be sure you put it as far away from you as you can and put it face down so that it doesn't light up if you do get a notification at night, even if you've got that part on silent. One last note on light, if you do have to wake up for something in the middle of the night, try to make sure the bulbs in your lamps or in your lights in your rooms don't contain blue light. You can actually get ones like that. A lot of the energy saving lights have about 35% blue light, which is similar to daylight. Nobody wants that kind of light shining into their eyes at 2 a.m. and it's not good for your body because it'll wake you up. There are specific sleep enhancing light bulbs that you can have in your bedroom so that you won't disturb your hormones as much. So take a look online or at your local store for that. Okay, now that you've got your bedroom all ready for a great night's sleep, let's talk about those lifestyle habits that can help. Let's start with a few things on nutrition. First off, let's just be clear that poor eating habits and poor sleep can be a really vicious cycle. When we don't sleep well, our body craves that quick energy. We already talked about that, which comes in the forms of sugar, simple carbohydrates like breads, pastas, not from veggies and things like that. That's not what our bodies crave. It's how we are built. There's nothing we can do to change that. Then when we eat junk like that, We don't sleep because it affects how we feel throughout the day, making us feel tired, getting our energy cycles out of whack, and around it goes. Some researchers are studying the role that sleep deprivation plays in the rise in obesity, which again, we just talked about that. Now, remember, it may take a little bit to get out of a bad cycle if you're in one. So just be patient with yourself. It's a habit just like anything else. It's going to take some time, but you have to stick with it and be consistent with it. So let's do a refresher on some of the tips that most of you may be familiar with. Caffeine. Stop drinking it as early in the day as you can. Some people have built up a tolerance and think they can drink it later in the day and still go to sleep, but it really probably still is affecting you. So work on that. Try to stop drinking it as early as you can. Ideally, you know, after 12 o'clock you stop drinking it, but again, just do the best you can. Take baby steps with it. Alcohol. Most of you probably know that while alcohol can help you get to sleep, it's not a quality sleep, and it usually leads to a more wakeful night overall if you drink too much. So what would you choose for a later evening snack before bed then? What do you want to put in your body? First off, it just needs to be light. You don't want your body doing a bunch of work digesting food and keeping you up all night that way, because your body does have to work. There are some foods that can promote sleep. Most of you, I'm sure, have heard of turkey and how it's supposed to make people tired. That's because of the tryptophan, which is an amino acid that turns into melatonin, which we know is the hormone that helps us sleep. And it also turns into serotonin, which is one of our feel-good chemicals. So you're sleepy, you're feeling good. Hey, that sounds like a great idea, right? There's some research that, you know, the amount of tryptophan and those types of things is not that much, and it doesn't affect it that much, but it never hurts to have that in your body, and it comes from whole foods. So let's talk about some different options that have tryptophan in them. And then when you combine those foods that I'm going to tell you with whole grains and other calming minerals like calcium and magnesium, you can set yourself up for a good snooze. Magnesium deficiency causes a higher risk of insomnia, which is where that recommendation comes from. Magnesium is a huge factor in many health processes, so if you're not taking, getting in your magnesium, make sure you start looking at those foods and talk to your doctor about ways to get more magnesium in, because it's not just sleep. There's lots of other things that magnesium does. All right, back on track. Some of the options that sleep.org recommends for a snack: half a banana and then some almonds or walnuts. So again, you're getting your good carbohydrates with the banana, you're getting your almonds and walnuts because they have some of that tryptophan. And actually, you can sub the banana for cherries because cherries is actually a natural source of melatonin. So if you like any of those things, have those for a little late night snack. Another old wives' tale that actually has some merit is a small glass of warm milk. Dairy has tryptophan, calcium, and magnesium, that winning combo. I just talked about all three of those. And it's just warm because warm doesn't shock your body as much. Tea, again, one of those that a lot of people already do, and for good reason. Teas like chamomile, passion flower, and valerian are the best sleepy time options. You can add some honey in as well, which contains some tryptophan. Just make sure it's decaf tea or whatever you're doing. We do have coaches that do a straight spoonful of raw honey at night and swear it helps their sleep. And if it's good quality honey, it sure might do that. And as far as other tips, just continue to follow the other tips we say in almost every one of our webinars. Whole foods, stay away from sugars, stay away from processed sugars and carbohydrates and just processed foods in general as much as you can. Whole foods, whole foods, whole foods. Do that and you're going to set yourself up for a good option. Exercise, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it because there's not any big revelations. Just do it and do it consistently. Workouts tire your body out and help reduce stress, thereby improving your sleep. Vigorous exercise, you should probably do about 2 to 5 hours before bed because it's obviously going to get your heart rate up, get those hormones up that are going to keep your energy up for a while. Choose more relaxing exercises like your stretching or yoga. You can do those closer to bedtime. And this is an individual process, so some people might be able to exercise closer, some people might need to keep it a little farther away. That's why you have your sleep journal, to help get those habits in line for you specifically. So I know I'm running out of time here. So last area to think about, stress management and changing your mindset. Coach Katie Jo had a great webinar just last month on changing your mindset, so I encourage you to take a look at that. And I will focus on some stress management techniques today. Now, as we know, stress is not something we can get rid of completely. So how we deal with stress becomes incredibly important, especially since it can affect our sleep, which is the point of today. Some ways to calm your mind and body down after a long day: guided meditation. This involves using either a free app or buying some calming music and instructions to help clear your mind and focus on, well, nothing. That's the goal of meditation, is to just kind of free your mind. We're going to actually be doing a webinar on meditation in April. So if you're curious to learn more, check it out. It really is fantastic, I promise. Insight Timer is an app that I use and that some of the other coaches use. And again, it just guides you through some things to think about to clear your mind, helps relax you. Mindfulness is on that same level. And again, Katie Jo's webinar had a lot of great things on this as well, so take a look. Basically though, mindfulness in the context of relaxing and helping sleep is focusing on the here and now. It's accepting the way everything is right now and not trying to solve all your problems right this second. Again, apps for meditation can help with this as well. Mindfulness and meditation a lot of times go together. Otherwise, what you can do if you don't want to use anything else, think and incorporate gratefulness before bed. Think about all the things you have to be grateful for in your life. You can even get a grateful journal and jot down something every day. I promise it'll make you feel better, and that better quality sleep will hopefully follow. A couple physical things you can do to help sleep include progressive muscle relaxation. This is very, very simple. I've told a lot of people about this. You just relax on your bed, breathe deeply for a couple minutes, then you start tensing different parts of your body for a few seconds and then releasing that tension. So start with your toes and work your way up your body. The goal is to feel that tension in those muscles and then feel what it's like to relax them. A lot of us carry tension without even realizing it. This helps become aware of that and start to relax those muscles to prepare a body for bed. And lastly, just simple deep breathing. This can be done anywhere and anytime you have stress, but doing it before bed can help you calm down and hopefully get to sleep faster. All you do, close your eyes, relax those muscles again, and focus completely on your breathing. Now you want to do abdominal breathing where your stomach goes up, not your shoulders. So you can put your hand on your belly to know that you're doing it right. So you inhale slowly, hold your breath for about 5 seconds or so, and then exhale for about 5 seconds or so. You can do different time amounts, so find what's right for you. And you can do this for 5 seconds, 5 minutes, or until you fall asleep, whatever works best. So a few tips there, lastly, on the stress management side of it. So again, I know I covered a lot, but I didn't cover nearly everything that you can do, but that's all the time we have for today. So these are our next webinars for the next couple months. Next month, we will do Office Olympics in theme with the Olympics coming up. We'll talk about getting active at work, different ways you can do that. And then in March, to go along with March Madness, we're going to do Meal Prep Madness, kind of tips on how to plan and prep your meals ahead of time. Lots of good stuff. And you can find out and register for these on healthcheck360blog.com. So again, here's our contact information. Again, I apologize we don't have time for questions today, but email us at healthcoach@healthcheck360.com. And again, watch the past webinars on the blog. We're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram. Follow us. There's always lots of good tips on there. And thank you so much, everyone, for listening, and have a wonderful day.